Szeretettel köszöntöm a kedves nézőket. 2018. október 30-a szerintem egy fordulópont Pécs zenei életében, ugyanis ezen a napon írták alá a szerződést a Pannon Philharmonikusok és Gilbert Varga világhírű karmester arról, hogy 2019. január 1-től Gilbert Varga és Bogányi Tibor személyében két vezető irányító karmestere lesz a zenekarnak. Welcome in Pécs. Welcome to Pécs. So, what was your first impression about the city when you arrived here for the first time?
Oh, that's 8 years ago. It was a bit in a change, but it was the year when Pécs was the capital of culture. And so everything was very clean, everything was very neat, and it was a beautiful city actually. I didn't know it at all. And the concert hall was just in construction. So they just were working. I was here in summer, I think, and they opened it in December. So it was more or less finished, but everything smelled like a new car, you know, like that. Yeah. It was really beautiful. It still is a beautiful city.
So, and afterwards, how your connection with the city or with the orchestra became closer and closer?
I came more often here as a guest conductor, then in the new hall. 3-4 years later, and then twice or 3 times again, and I noticed that how healthy everything is. You know, very healthy, beautiful concert hall, great orchestra, healthy orchestra, ambitious orchestra, wonderful management, great public, the mayor interested in culture. So somehow the package is healthy, is good, is the way it should be. So very, very attaching.
Do you know non-healthy orchestras as well?
For example, in big cities you would have not healthy, some of them, or you had structures which are not healthy. I'm just coming out of one of those structures where the city is not behind the orchestra. The city is paying for the orchestra, but not really interested, not really having. Public is there, but not really involved. So that's something where you say, what's the future going to be? You never know which side it is. It's everything trembling. Is it going to go forward or backwards? Here you have a clear path. It's forward.
What do you think about the musicians, not of the Pécs Orchestra, but in general, in a general term? So how does a healthy musician look like? From musical perspective, of course.
Proud about what they do. In an upwards trend, saying we want to do better, which doesn't mean that they are not proud about what they're doing now or happy about what they're doing, but saying we want to improve, we want to go, we want to have better conductors, we want to have better soloists, we want to have more a future which is brighter. Obviously, that means also perhaps hoping one day they get a better payment, they get a better salary, they get a better involvement in the future. But it's something constructive, what you want as a conductor. If you're there and you feel musicians are well fed, they're happy, they're not, you know, they don't want anything anymore. Then exactly, then it's depressing, and then you come on. You want people who are hungry, who want to go better, which doesn't mean that they are not happy with what they do now, but they want to go forward. Yeah.
What do you look for in your work, in your now starting work with the Pécs Orchestra? What is your future plan with these group of musicians?
Probably not much different than with any other. Leaving a positive impact, even if it's only for one day, for one concert, for a month, for a year, for 3 years, leaving a positive impact so that when you leave, they will say, oh, in this time the orchestra grew. And obviously together with Tibor, we are going to form a wonderful team. I feel very strongly with him together. I feel a very good connection. So we want to bring the whole thing slowly, steadily, just forward and getting closer to the truth. What we are. I tried to explain this morning also with a press conference to we are servants. Like you can be servants to God, or you can be servants to a masterpiece. And this masterpieces written by the composers are useless if they don't have servants who bring them to sound. So we need to understand what is the composer wanting, and we get closer and closer to that, and getting the musicians involved in saying, I want to understand better, to get closer to what the composer wanted. And that's a wonderful achievement.
I don't know if you know, but we in Hungary, we have a proverb. It sounds in Hungarian, két dudás egy csárdában nem fér meg, which means two bagpipe players in one pub cannot play together.
Or two cooks destroy a meal or whatever.
So there will be two chief conductors. I'm absolutely appreciate that you look that way, so positive. But how do you make the balance?
There's no balance.
No.
It's one conductor with two faces.
This is a Janus face.
No. It's an advantage, because I have my positive and my negative sides, and Tibor has probably the same thing, and so we do complete each other. And we have, both of us are really involved in the future of the orchestra, are working together. We are, and that is important point, as you mentioned, we are not
rivals.
Much more than that. We are not, neither of us is, do you speak a bit of German?
Yes.
Machtmensch.
Machtmensch.
Macht.
Das
Power.
heißt,
Machtmenschen sind Leute, die wollen die ganze Macht auf sich.
Wie Karajan.
Zum Beispiel, aber braucht nicht einmal Dirigent. It can be a politician, can be anybody. It can be a father at home who is also Machtmenschen, who is not willing to share with his wife, or you know.
Yeah.
And we both are not Machtmenschen. I'm not here to use any power other than just get the musicians to come closer to what I think the composer wanted, but not what I want, but what the composer. I'm only a servant of the composer. I'm only a medium to help what the composer wrote, to make it, not medium is not the right word, a tool to help to get the musicians as close as possible to, and Tibor sees it the same way. So we're both going to work in the same direction with our own characteristics. But I'm very positive that we'll have a wonderful achievement.
Yes, but some people say that, okay, there are two types of conductors, the dictator conductor and the other one who is very nice with the musicians. But sometimes it is said that all the musicians need some power, they need strictness.
During the rehearsal.
Oh, yes.
But it's not that I want power. We want, and Tibor is certainly the same, that we want to achieve in those 2 hours rehearsal and whatever, we want to get as close as possible to what we think is necessary to be done. But I don't need the power outside of that. I don't want the power to decide who is going to be the guest conductor, where we are going to go, which is going to be the next item of the recordings. We're going to record that. We're going to do that. Not at all. No. And we have a great management. Zsolt is doing an incredible work since many years here to bring the orchestra up. So I have no interest at all in this direction about deciding on anything else than just how do we perform this symphony, this piece, in the best possible way.
What is your vision about repertoire and educating musicians, or to educate the audience?
I would be careful with using the term educating the audience. I don't think the audience in so far needs to be educated. They especially not in a country like Hungary, where I would say they want to listen to great and convincing music. And now to the educating the orchestra, to vision of programming, we have to sit down a bit more often with Tibor to see what our interest, in which sense interest. But again, example, Tibor wants to do Bruckner 8. Wonderful, do Bruckner 8, fantastic. I would like perhaps to do Haydn 42. Right, I'll do Haydn 42. He wants to do the, and should it happen one day, in the worst case, which I can't foresee, but should it happen, we both want, really, I would love to do this piece, and I want also, well, then we'll have a boxing camp in the two of us, and one of us goes and says, I'll do it, and he does it in 10 years again, or whatever, you know, there's no problem. We are very decent people, and he's a wonderful human being. I like him very, very much, and I don't foresee any problems in that, but more we can complete each other. And one thing we discovered more, he loves opera, he loves singers, he loves the big works. I'm coming from the chamber music. I like smaller Mozart Divertimento, the early Haydn symphonies, the smaller things. So that's already showing how the programmation will probably a bit in this direction go, you know. We have just today decided that we want to do, I'm very much looking forward, the concertmaster, one of the two concertmasters is also composing. Seems, I don't know, but he told me he's really writing very well. And he wrote the cello concerto. So Tibor is going to play and I'm going to conduct. We're going to do that. So together we are on stage with the composer. And so we're trying to build things which are according to his nature and to my nature.
Why do you prefer this perspective of chamber music?
Because I come from chamber music. I was a violinist, played a lot of chamber music, viola in quartets and quintets, and I think a good orchestra is a big string quartet, where the people listen to each other, where they have, you know, from the story of orchestras, they have grown very organically out of a small quartet. Then they become bigger and bigger and bigger, and one day it was too big so that the guy in the back there could not hear the guy there, so they needed somebody who would stick through, you know, made noise, and so that and slowly it grew very organically. But the conductor is just there because of a need, because the orchestra has grown. The essence, the root of it is a quartet. It's a real beautiful quartet where everybody listens to each other, where they live as one body and grow as one body. And their conductor is there to help, just a help. We are nothing more. I don't think the conductor is, as you mentioned, dictator or something like that. Not at all. Except in those hours of rehearsal, yes, we take a role of helping the musicians, saying, please, you play shorter, so that's the same, and that's the role, and we explain, we take time to work on each piece.
And do you think that you knew the orchestra well enough for make this decision to sign the contract? Or
you asked a question, do you think you know well enough your wife before you married her?
I'd like to force you to...
I don't know. But this morning they performed with Tibor Bogányi piece, and it was wonderful. It was very convincing. And should I have had any doubts before that, they're gone.
Okay, but let's take away this metaphor, this analogy of having a marriage with the orchestra. Speaking about the hall, you know the house very well. So what is your opinion?
Fantastic.
You saw and you heard a lot of halls in the world.
It's one of the greatest halls in the world.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. By far the best in this country from what I know. And I don't know many halls like that. It's absolutely perfect.
What makes this hall so?
It is the slightest is heard. The slightest thing is clearly transmitted. You have to be incredibly careful. It's like somebody whom you touch and the whole body is shivering. Yeah? It's fantastic, it's fascinating, it's complicated, because you have to learn how to do, what to say, and how to express it, where you touch it, what the reactions are. You put it in this corner and that corner. You give a bit more of that, a bit less of that, and you try out and you experience. But it is answering. It's somebody like you're very interesting because you look very strongly. I can see when talking with you, you react. You are really here. But there are many people you talk to and you have the feeling you talk to a wall, or they hardly react to what you say. Yeah? And there are halls who don't react. You talk into it, there's no reaction, there's nothing back. So you feel alone on stage. Or there are other halls, unfortunately they're built quite often now, where everything sounds good. So it's an ideal hall for mediocre players, because they always sound good. Everybody can go out of the stage and, wow, that sounded great. But the real characteristic, let us say an example, Glenn Gould.
Yes.
I never heard him, obviously, but all his fingers had a different sound, he worked like a fanatic on having different color on this one, staccato in his legato, in this, whatever. In one of those halls, it would have been useless. Completely useless. But in a hall like Pécs, you could have heard every smallest details of his. He would have loved performing in a hall like that, because he could have given more even attention to the slightest details of that and that. And so this hall is fantastic, but it needs a lot of attention and of time to spend in the hall. So I'm very happy that we got also sort of a deal with the mayor and with the city, that we can go very often in this hall and get really a connection, the orchestra and the hall.
So this is my next question. How can affect a sound, or how can affect the whole, the sound of the orchestra?
If you spend enough time in it and you have attention and you work on it, you certainly, if the musicians also get time to hear. Look, there was a story, last time I was here in February, one of the wind players, there was a piece with one of the wind players had a solo to play in there. And coming into the hall, I said, this is too present. Try to dream more. Your sound should be more. And the reaction was immediate of the player, but nobody will hear. This is a big hall. I'm sure nobody will hear it if I play that soft. So I asked the colleague of one of them, please, after rehearsal, the soloist stayed there, the player of the orchestra, and a colleague came with me in the hall, and we listened together. And the soloist played a bit. The colleague in the hall said, this is far too loud. What do you mean far too loud? I'm hardly playing. Yeah, but here it's incredibly present. So this person was not aware how the hall reacts. So we need time for them to get accustomed to really know the hall, to really adapt to the hall, to play. It is terribly important to do that, and it's a luxury if we have time to do that. So, and I'm very happy. We have this great hall. We have this orchestra incredibly interested and wanting to move forward. It's really very happy.
What do you think? What can you add to this work, to this orchestra? What is your presence?
You should ask them who engaged me.
Okay, but I'm quite sure that you think that you can make it more chamber music-like. I don't know. I'm sure that you have a vision.
I tried this morning also in the press conference you obviously understand a lot about music. So if I explain to you that every note in the score, whatever, any note you take, has 3 informations. How high, how low, if it's a C, if it's a D, if it's a G, for whatever. How long, if it's a 16th note, if it's a triplet, if it's a quarter note, if it is a what, and how loud. Now, the two first informations are incredibly precise. There are 12 notes in a scale, in an octave. You know exactly if it's D, if it's wrong, you know, but it's C. The length is very clear also. There's a 16th, then there's an 8th note, then there's a quarter note, then there's a half note. It's a very clear, and a triplet and quintole and whatever. Everything is clear. Dynamic? It's like Neanderthal. What? Play loud, play half loud, mezzo forte, play soft piano, play mezzo piano, half soft. What the hell? You know, it's like prehistoric. There's no clear message about how loud something should be. All that is in the musical text. So you need time, you need the willingness of each of the musicians to take the attention to know what is my function in this chord, what is my function in this melody, what is my function here, where do I stand? And I try to say that it's a bit like those Japanese pictures, you know, paintings, where you have 10 different layers. Here a mountain, and then comes a cloud, and then the next kind of mountains, which are a bit already further away, and it comes a bit something, and then there's a river, and then comes another. So you see far away, and you see something close. And actually every second in the music has this. Nobody is equal. Nobody ever is at the same moment, has the same function. And if you have a hall and you have musicians who are willing to work on that, to produce the pianissimo, which is hardly anything than one voice coming out, and then this voice going down and giving it to the next and playing with that, this is fascinating. This is a joy for me, and I hope I can be contagious to the musicians and to participate in this game. And I've asked this morning for their cooperation, for their patience, to do that together with them.
In which language are you going
mishmash.
Are you going to rehearse?
A real mishmash: Hungarian, German, English. You know.
I'm asking this because you know, this is a Hungarian orchestra, and I'm sure, no, I know that you are absolutely aware of the Hungarian roots, musical roots of the orchestra. So is this repertoire, Bartók, Kodály, is how important is it for the orchestra from your point of view in the future?
Honestly, it's for me a bit difficult to say. I don't know how much of that they already do. I'm not quite aware. I can give you an example. I was a bit surprised. It was in Győr Orchestra, with whom I have a nice connection because my father is from Győr, came from Győr. And it was 3-4 years ago, I did the Wooden Prince for Bartók.
Holzgeschnitzte Prinz.
Holzgeschnitzte, fából faragó.
Királyfi.
Királyfi. And I came there, and the orchestra didn't know it at all. Oh. They told me, we have never done it. So there I suddenly got aware that a repertoire which I thought was very familiar in Hungary actually is not so much. So I cannot answer you this question precisely because I don't know how much of it is in the roots of the orchestra here, how much they've done. But this morning, for example, they played a beautiful Dohnányi piece.
So it is important, is it?
I think so, it's important. But nowadays, every orchestra should be able to play everything. You know, they need to be flexible, to play French music with a French color, to play German, to play Russian music, to play, you know, all the different, to have all the different the smells of, or whatever, you know, of every kind of music.
So you have to know that this orchestra is very proud to be in this Kodály Center, in this beautiful hall. And I'm quite sure that they are really, really proud, and they really just look forward to cooperate with you. So I wish you good luck to your happy marriage with the Pannon Philharmonic Orchestra.
And with Tibor.
Tibor is already a part of the orchestra.
He is there, but he has, as I expressed, he has given me a small room in his bed together with the musicians. So we're going to share that together, and I'm really looking forward to this. whatever you want to call it, but it's a great adventure. And, you must know, so it's not first time I'm doing that. I was already in Spain in an orchestra, the National Basque Orchestra, where we had for many years, I had a cooperation with another conductor as well. I like that very much. Conductor friendships are not very often, you know, that strange people conductors. So I had a good experience there, and I'm sure with Tibor it will be the same thing.
I'm sure too. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you very much, Adam.